Hello, I'm Colin.
I'm John.
And we're also
Kevan.
joined by Kevin. Yeah, Kevin, so I'm just talking over you. I wasn't sure, because we had to prepare anything there. I wasn't sure if you would come in and just say, I'm Kevin, or if I would introduce you. So, Kevan Christie, welcome to the podcast. It's lovely to have you on. How are you doing?
Pleasure to be here. Thanks very much. Just shout out to my agent, the famous Keith Sands, for getting me on the show. Thanks, guys.
No worries. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, you're a Hibs fan, so you're in good company tonight. We'll talk about Hibs, and obviously there's no game to cover this weekend. But you've also got a new book out called "To Be Frank." So
Yes.
we'll hear a bit about that, a bit about your history with Hibs, your famous father as well. We can maybe touch upon, and then we'll maybe have a wee look at see kind of thoughts on how the season's gone so far. I suppose we will kick off with, just because it just happened, the Scotland game. If we'll maybe just touch on that, because Grant Hanley had quite a good game. Colin, did you see any of it?
No, I was out on Friday night.
Good start, right?
To watch it. I had a good night out though. It was a really good night out. Bumped into a couple of folk that listen actually down in Musselburgh. But no, it was really good. Good curry. Gurkha. Recommend the Gurkha
Right,
in Musselburgh.
nice.
I didn't bother watching the game.
I never watched it either. I made it like a movie night on a Friday, so the football got vetoed. Although I did hear that Grant Hanley had a good game, and I had to put a couple of tweets out about that, which rattled a few jambos, which is always good. John, did you see much yet?
I did. I made a point of watching it because my boss asked me, he's like, "You watching the Scotland game tonight?" I was like, "I probably," but I had to confess I had no idea what competition it was. Like if it was a friendly, if it was Nations League, Euro qualifiers, I had no idea. But I watched it.
Just the World Cup, Turns out.
Was it?
Aye,
Aye.
Kevin, did you see it?
Yeah, I watched. I had a bet on the draw, so that kept me interested. But Hanley was brilliant, and certainly it gives David Gray a wee thought about maybe two centre backs. I think him and Rocky would be kind of based on that performance. Hanley was magic. He was really good.
We actually got an
Yeah,
email in for Joe, who does our phone in on a Thursday. He emailed yesterday and asked us to talk about it, whether or not Hanley's performance for Scotland puts him in the frame for a starting position at Hibs. So, would you be in favour of that, Kevin?
100%. He was out. I mean, he's playing against Denmark. They were, I think, 20th, 21st in the world, and he sailed through the game, no bother. I mean, I would like to see him and Rocky as a centre back partnership. Especially if we're trying to see a game out. The manager can maybe go and change that. If we go away to Ibrox or Celtic Park, that's quite a formidable. Could be quite a formidable pairing, and we're starting to look a bit more physical. And yeah, I think David Gray might be considering that based on Hanley's performance. Certainly better than he did in his debut for us. I think he struggled a wee bit as a left centre back in a three.
Are you thinking it as a four, like a back four with two centre backs?
Possibly he could do that, or he could change it if we were winning and go to the back four. Just because Rocky and Hanley in the middle there is quite solid.
We've got a couple of comments on YouTube. So Jack said, "Evening, lads." David Robertson said, "Keith Sands, your agent, blimey." So I don't know if you know David. And me said, "Furious Bowie got no minutes. He better get them tomorrow." So that was maybe one of the disappointing things for the international game, Colin, that Bowie never featured at all.
Aye, in a way, but for him and for his value, but for Hibs, it's not that bad, I think. If you're being selfish about from Hibs' point of view.
Keeps him fit, doesn't it?
Aye, but Dykes got on ahead of him, didn't he?
Aye. Dykes could have been a almost. Right, I didn't suppose we'll talk very much longer about Scotland. There's no...
And he's watched the women's game today.
I saw a wee bit of it.
Don't talk about that either. That was fucking poor, if we're going to be equal opportunities, it would be absolutely... It'll be 2-0 off the Hearts.
Did you not say you were at the game, Colin?
I was at the game, aye. It wasn't great,
First was a penalty, wasn't it? Gave away a penalty and then...
Yeah, first one was a penalty, second one wasn't good. Every time I seem to go to a big game and watch them, they get beat, comfortably as well. 2-0 the day, they got pumped in the cup final last year, and then the derby this time last year was a doing as well. They won the league last year, in between that, but
So you the jinx, Colin? Is that what you're telling
I'm
him?
starting to feel like it. starting to feel like it. It was wasn't great. As I say, if it was a man's derby and that performance today, we would be absolutely, we'd be going for. We need to keep this to an hour because we've got so much stuff to hammer them about.
I watched the first 20 minutes and it wasn't really kind of keeping my attention too much. I would have watched it more if it was on the TV. I had to watch it on my phone, which was a bit shite. Like I think the BBC did to just chuck it on the TV.
Yeah, they must only have so many games they can show or something. But
I
don't know if it's Edinburgh Derby that gets chopped with the league champions that are playing. It's not like it's just a mid-table game.
Never mind. And the youth team got beat off Spartans yesterday as well, 5-1, which is so no good weekend for the Hibs overall. It's probably just as well the first team weren't playing because could have done without that. So we'll move on to that and talk about your book, Kevin. So go and give us a rundown on it.
I'll give you a wee bit of synopsis. So it's my debut novel. It's set in Porty. Follows 50-something newspaper columnist Frank Savage, who writes a controversial piece calling for dogs and babies to be banned for cafes. This is on the back of him not getting a minute's peace in Porty and paying £4 for a coffee. And he thinks he's getting sacked for journalism anyway. You know, it's a digital age and that. But instead of being dismissed, it kind of propels him to stardom, and he's under pressure to write more and more sort of mad shite, if you like. And then on a night out, he spots his arch enemy, a guy called Brewster, who's an apparently reformed, racist, homophobic football hooligan turned drug dealer, now a respected figure in the local community in Porty. But Frank blames him for his brother's death at the old open-air pool, derelict open-air pool back in the 80s. And at the same time, Frank's estranged daughter comes back on the scene into Porty up from London, Naomi. She's a genius with numbers. She works for an organised crime syndicate headed by the Wise One, and they're desperate to start a money laundering operation in Portobello. And the way they do it is to do up the old cinema building, one of the old cinema buildings. And I didn't make it in Bath Street. I just say it's in Portobello. And as Naomi and Frank start to heal old wounds, they realise that they're hiding secrets that would devastate each other. But it's classed as a sort of crime thriller, but it's really a comedy. You know, it's a comedy with criminals in it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of nods to Porty, Leith, wider Edinburgh. Yeah, I mean, it's had a good reception so far, good pre-orders, and I think people, like it. It's a essential bog time reading, I would call it.
It definitely sounds like an ad read, Kevin. But what? How long did it take you to write it? Like, how long did it take?
It took me a year to get the first draft out, which was torture. And I live in Crossgates in Fife, so I'm walking about, like I would write for maybe 15 minutes and then go a wander, going to talk to my mate in Costcutter there, like it was Alan Partridge hanging about the garage or something. It took me a year to write it, and then another year to get it all sorted. So maybe about another 5 or 6 drafts, and I had a bit of help with that. I had the editor helping. And then the Book Guild stepped in and offered me a publishing deal, and I've been promoting the hell out of it. I've been going around Portobello with posters, going around Edinburgh with posters, got to be video made, New Order backing track. So I had to get the music, had to pull all the pictures together. People like Lost Edinburgh, Porty Heritage. Have really helped me with that. Guy Graham McKindle, who's now quite a famous photographer in New York, but he was in Porty in '86, in Edinburgh in '86 when he was starting out, and he had a lot of great shots. There's a picture of Alsatian Doug on top of the Castle Tavern up at Craig Miller there.
Oh, aye. Mm-hmm.
Blind Guy in Easter Road, so it's out on the 28th, but it's available now in Toppings, which is handy if you're heading down Easter Road for a game. And
the blind guy in Easter Road, I think he was refereeing at the weekend. He's still there. You say your Crossgates. I'm just down the road for you. I'm Dunfermline there, just the dog. So just round the corner, really.
We've got Stuart. New house he's built. There's a Stuart Adamson Crescent. The guy, the country guy. I love it. I say to my mates, I live in Scotland. You live in Edinburgh.
Aye, that's what it's like. The deepest, darkest Fife. So, what was your inspiration for the book, Kevin?
Well, other than debt. No, it was actually, sitting in some of these coffee shops in Porty and seeing how much Porty's changed. Gentrification's the word they use, And I was like, this has changed a lot. There's only one thing for it. I'll write a 360-page novel to address my midlife crisis. But just having a look about how things have changed, and we spoke about how Hibs have changed. The things have changed there. So it's really that. Frank's, he's in his 50s. He's kind of trapped in nostalgia. Got a lot of memory triggers, and it's not necessarily his mind's playing tricks on him a wee bit, because things weren't as great as he thinks they were. And I wanted to satirize journalism. I was a journalist for 14 years, so I wanted to have a light-hearted pop at it, and other things, organised crime, the bad guys of football casual. We had them, quite a lot of them growing up. Just wanted to have a laugh with things, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing it, and I hope people will like it. It's my debut, so.
I was reading earlier, Kevin, that you were an immature student. You went back to uni in journalism. So I think I was reading.
I never went in the first place, but I went to Napier at 34.
Well, I'm really interested because I've just completed a degree as well. So I'd also worked in financial services for a number of years, and then went, fuck this, I want to do something else. I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. So what was your inspiration for going and doing a degree in journalism?
Oh, well, it was actually the programme The Office, right? I went in 2002, and The Office was kicking about. I just started, and I felt like I was the boy Tim, the guy that's there, and it's like he's never got to do fuck all, but he just wants to have a moan, and in his own head he thinks he's quite creative, and I'm like, right, I need to do something here. And my good mate's a guy, Jamie Sivis, an actor, who gave me a nice wee write up for the book and that, and he went down to London, and he'd worked in financial services as well, and I wasn't really contributing any to financial services. I think they were glad to see the back of me, because I liked the afternoon discos and that, and a standard life for years, and I made my way around everywhere. So I'd always fancied being a journalism student, a journalist, but I was a wee bit wayward at 16, and I didn't know how you went about going to uni and that kind of thing back then. It would have just been Napier. I don't even think it was a degree, But I enjoyed my time. It was 4 years. It could have been condensed into one, but
right. That's just uni though, isn't it? That's uni. I've just been through it. I'm like, fuck's sake. You're never there.
Yeah, I mean, film history and socialism, and we had one guy showed us how to write for newspapers, and that was it. John Linklater was his name, and that could have been the course as far as I was concerned. Probably learnt more being a private hire taxi driver, about people and about the city and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, John. Can you?
I was just going to say, when you were describing before about writing for about 15 minutes, then away and spoke to your pal, that was me. And my uni experience was like coming up with a title for like a report I was writing. Like, yes, that's me. That's me done something. I'm away, go for a cup of tea or something.
Yeah. And when I became a journalist, it's like I'd celebrate a story for like 3 days. I didn't drink now, but booted the arse out it, completed it. But it's just writing in wee bursts, and people think how do you get time to do that? Well, most of it you're writing it in your head. I was just endlessly walking around Portobello for this book, places like Daisy Park, places in my youth, the amusements, past the pool, looking at all the mad cyclists hooring along the prom, folk with 4 dogs, wild swimmers, all that kind of thing, and all this just seeped into my consciousness for the book.
I quite like
Sorry, I've done it again. I was going to talk about the journalism.
You go on.
I was going to ask what kind of journalism you've done, but I don't know if I'm taking him away for the thread you were on there.
I was at the Record for 6 years, so in the Edinburgh office, and we seem to write a lot about footballers, but they were on the front pages as opposed.
So were you the news desk more than the sports desk?
Yeah, general reporter. So yeah, it was everything. It was gang crime in Edinburgh, and just any kind of murders and stuff like that. You got sent on these things, death knocks, where you had to knock the door and get a photograph of the deceased and all that. It was different days. I started in 2006 and went on to 2012, and digital media, Facebook and that, things like that were just sort of starting. I think it was called Friends Reunited or something back then, and So it was still, it was just at the end of the job. Tended to have got in at the end. So I hadn't been like a lifer journalist. So I didn't have the sort of learned behaviour. Always felt like I was kind of on the outside. But I came into it. I really enjoyed it. It was good fun at the record. And then I was in Dundee for about 3 months at the Tilly. And then got shifts at the Scotsman, and I was there the rest of my time. I was the health correspondent at the Scotsman for a bit, and I was completely winging it. Smoking 20 a day, had gout, loved the Guinness, and I'm the health correspondent. I'm writing columns telling folk they should eat more black pudding. Black puddings are superfood and marathons are bad for you. And eventually they just gave me a column. I think it was to stop me writing about health. It was like, but I had a big story. Pauline Cafferty, the nurse that she went to Africa and got Ebola. I had a sort of world exclusive with her. I got in with her before she got the illness. And then
predicted it, like, you stop.
It's like I've stalked her. She's moved to Crossgates, but that's nothing to do with me. So that was my big world, if you like, and then I left. I was getting on, and I wasn't making much money. You get more as a bus driver, and no offence, that's a good job. So I was like, right, I need to maybe just call it a day. The pandemic had started, so there was nowhere for me to hide as a health reporter. It was
you can stuff, aye.
Yeah,
I saw the digital stuff's changed, it wasn't it? But you probably just did miss the boat, because in the old days it looked like when you read about or hear Graham Spears or somebody talking about it, especially as a sports reporter, they had the time of their life just touring the world on expenses and that. Whereas now it's all like, look at them now scrapping about for clickbait, aren't they, to get you to click on it, to scroll down to go past all the evening news now. I know that's where part of the group that you worked in. It's a horrendous paper to try and read online now.
You try to wade through all the sort of adverts. It's just difficult, and there's an immediacy to it all. I've got sympathy and respect for the younger journalists. The deadlines that they're under, and they work really hard. They really batter it, and but the stories didn't seem to stick. They didn't seem to last. If we got a front page, we'd have to do a follow up as a matter of course, that you followed up the next day, and then I don't know. I'm old fashioned. I like a paper, but I think digital legacy print, like call it digital print, it's kind of looks like it's on its way out a wee bit. It might stick out like vinyl.
I was going to say, like, do you think it might actually make a comeback like vinyl in a sort of retro kind of way?
Maybe sort of long. It's already gone the way of longer reads and sort of more quality, and maybe weeklies are more of a thing. I think people can get their news from like the sites, the web, and that, and then more analysis, like deeper analysis kind of thing. I think papers, almost like periodicals, papers might be more suited to that. But I think the problem they had, and I'm the expert at all. Is they couldn't monetize the internet. They couldn't get people to subscribe so much. They missed the boat. They were a wee bit slow with that, I think, and they struggled to make money. And then the papers tend to be run by a shower of bastards anyway. So that's a problem.
But even now, when you see them, an article go out, I seen it with the boys for Patrick and that, the Hibs Observer, the other week.
I worked with him. Yeah.
Somebody replied to them saying, "I can't read it. You've got to pay for it." And he had to reply saying, "Well, this is like how, this is how I get paid."
A job, but it's not a public service. I know. Yeah.
One of the
$9.99, like.
Aye. One of the things I've seen on Twitter recently is a Twitter account called Fesshole, and there was one yesterday that was a I think it was a sci-fi author, says that he writes all his character names, I'm assuming a he, by the way, based on folk at his local cricket club.
Oh, that's brilliant.
What did you use for inspiration for the names in your book?
Kind of folk I knew a wee bit. I don't know where Frank came about just because I had to think of a title, right? So Frank's. that just came out. Brewster, right? Craig Brewster, you know Craig Brewster that played with Hibs, right? So my missus is good pals with his sister. So I'm not saying it's Craig Brewster, but it's her name that it's kind of, and I thought Brewster's Millions. I thought Brewster's a good name for a bad guy, you know, I'll have a bit of that. The wise one, so there is kind of people, you know, but then you get that one where, oh, that's me, and then as soon as you say you're writing a book, I'm in it, and you're like, well, you know, I hadn't really thought about putting you in it, like Sanji or that, you know, it's like your mates will go, so I maybe just say, aye, of course you're in it, mate, you know.
And let them figure out who it is.
Well, the journals might be thinking, a lot of them will be thinking, oh, that's him, but the editor, Frank's boss, is a composite character. I had about like 5 or 6 editors, you know, and that's a composite character. The guy Brewster's he's a former football hooligan, and like I say, I had mates that were hoolies, and we grew up with hoolies, and that's composite. That's not one person in particular. It's just a combination. I'll take a bit for that, a bit for this, and everything, and that's how I did it with that. But it was great. I feel like I've been back in Edinburgh in the 80s. I feel like I spent a year. The book's set in the present, but he goes back and talks a lot about when his brother was about 88. You know, that time. Yeah.
Kevin, can I just find there's a guy on YouTube, Stuart Jacks, asking when the book goes on sale. I think you said it's already on sale in that shop, but it's
on sale in Toppings, which is on the old bank at Blenheim Place. They've got it, and it's the 28th, and everybody's got it. Porty Bookshop, Amazon, Toppings, Waterstones, everywhere. That's been good. Everybody's got it. So, but it's not. If you want to get an early look at it and get a read at it, it's in Toppings. I signed 10 books for them with 10 different signatures. It's the first time I've done it. So shambles. I wrote YLT on one of them because I was trying to take away from my shite signature. Honestly, it's like a Bairn's signature, man. So I need to practice that. But as long as nobody catches me practicing my signature, Jesus, mate.
Could I ask, see, I don't know if you listen to any audiobooks. I used to read quite often, and then I started.
All the time.
I learned to drive. So all my reading time was just rapidly diminished.
Aye.
Have you given any consideration to who would narrate your audiobook?
I think I'd get a go myself, just for if I was to get somebody to do it, my mate Jamie would do it, right? But I think it takes 6 hours to do 1 hour, and I'd have to see if it was worth it. But I love an audiobook because you get older and you're fiddling about with your specs all the time. You jump in your motor, podcasts, audiobooks, Audible. Brilliant. I've listened to a couple of football ones. Pat Evans one, I listened to that, and Big Dunk, but I got fed up with Big Dunk.
Oh, same here. Why did you get fed
up
about
fighting?
Oh fuck, it was dull, eh? It was the same. I didn't like fighting, but I was in this fight, right? And like, fuck's sake.
I didn't like fighting, but I ruined my career because I kept doing the I mean, it's stuff about how he never got spotted, and Dundee United took the piss out of him as a Bairn and that, you know, kind of got treated like shite. He got treated really badly, but then it just becomes like it's punchy as, eh? It's just this paragraph and that one.
I thought the first sort of 15, I think it was 15 chapters were all right. Like it was about the jail and that, and then I was like, nah, this is shite. Switched off.
Aye, definitely.
Ronnie on YouTube says it's $9.95 on Amazon, and he's put in his basket already as a pre-order. So
thanks, Ronnie.
It's been worth coming on. You've got one copy or one extra copy.
Absolutely. Money in the hipper there. Once I give Sanji half of that. Yeah.
Kevin, you grew up Edinburgh. You're a Hibs fan. So what was your sort of your early, or I don't know, what's your Hibs career been like?
Well, I'm 56, so kind of too young for Turnbull's Tornadoes and that, right? I would have been 4 or 5 in 73 when we beat Hearts 7-0, right? So I come along, I might have been at a game about 74, but they played Derby County in a friendly. That might have been my first game. And they were English champions, I think. And then 76 I start going. But we were murder. I mean, it was like the crowds were down. The team had been split up really quickly. I think the catalyst for that, you'll know better than me guys, but I think the catalyst for that was maybe Pat Stanton, you know, that deal. Although Jackie McNamara come in and did great. But they were just on their downer. And then that seemed to last throughout my Hibs supporting career. And when I hear Hibbies, like, and I do it myself, we look back at that period, right? Late 70s, early 80s, with nostalgia, I'm like, oh, well, hold on a minute. There's maybe like 5,000 or 6,000 at some of the games. I was at the last one against St Mirren, and the crowd flashed up 17,000. I'm like, oh, hold on, this has changed, you know. This is a lot better. And that old book, you know, the book to strip and that, there was highlights in there, but like I was saying to you, Matty, I was at the junior school at Lacey, so that's the flats at the back there, Norton Park, and we were there for the first 2 years at Lacey, and the Hibs players went in every day to get changed, and then they maybe went down to Wardy or somewhere, maybe Jack Kane, somewhere like that to train. It was public parks. I cannot remember a single Hibs fan at the school asking a player for an autograph. And it just never happened. We pelted them with snowballs, and I think they ended up getting pelted with stones. They got absolute dog's abuse, and I think they maybe got relegated. There was definitely a relegation in there, but it was grim. It was like changed days for what it's like now.
And your dad's Terry Christie as well, former Meadowbank manager. How was that kind of?
I'm the spawn of the duffel. So I had to go to school after Meadowbank had beat Hibs. I remember that in the quarters of the League Cup. I don't know if any of you remember that game, but I think Pat Stanton got sacked like not long after. I think he probably got sacked straight after that game. And so that was like, Christ, even my old man's team can beat them. You know, it was.
Did you go watch Meadowbank?
I was trying to think players of that era, and I mean, I was a football daft youngster. I played with Salvi and Portishead and that, and you go in the back garden and you weren't going, "Oh, I want to be a baggy be him," you know. And I'm not naming a player because that's not right. But you know, it's I got to the stage where I think I supported Charlie Nicholas for a year. I liked him as a player. I was like, I'm just going to follow Charlie Nicholas, you know. But then it changed, you know. A big change was when Steve Archibald dropped up. That was somebody you watched on the telly, somebody that was genuinely a world-class player, and he had that partnership with Garth Crooks. And I'd be talking to, I still can't believe we had him, we got him. Everything about him was class. His movement, you know, that goal at Tiny, iconic photograph. It was just like, oh, hold on. So that's what it looks like, you know. But now it's brilliant. Now it's like I just love going. It's so good. And we touched on the Leafs thing as well.
Aye, so you talked to us a wee bit about that because you pointed out that something I'd never really kind of given a lot of thought to, which was how much Hibs have sort of bought into the Leaf identity now, which we never really did before.
It's like a PR dream what they've done. They've anchored the club in Leith, and the club wasn't a big thing when I was growing up. Like obviously there was guys for Leith that supported Hibs, right? That was, but it's become such a strong part of the identity. I think the Proclaimer songs got something to do with that, maybe from Hands on Hibs. Irvin Welsh has got a huge part to play in that. Folk call them our spoon burners and all that, but it's separated us from Hearts and Edinburgh, and we've become like separate from that. And the media's really bought into it. You know, they talk about like they've got to go to Leith to get a result, you know, and we never spoke like that. I've had arguments with my mates. It's like, well, half the ground isn't even in Leith, you know. It's like that. That's a good pub chat. The identity was the Cowgate. You know, there was maybe a little bit more towards the sort of Irish Catholic identity in the early 80s, 70s, and that. It was certainly like there wasn't a mention of Hibs being a Leith team. You know, I think there was the badge came along later in that, but it's worked really well. You know, it's almost like they're this sort of right on club that's a wee bit sort of Edinburgh St Pauli and rooted in the community, and you know, it's working really well. 17,000 against St Mirren. I mean, attendances are great. Place is absolutely buzzing. Team's now looking decent. So that's been a masterstroke. But I think we've got Mr. Welsh to thank for a lot of that.
And you're a season ticket holder now. What do you think of the team at the moment?
decent. I think strongest squad we've had for a while. Definitely, so many options for the manager. Bowie's looking like he's going to be a player. Who knows what? The guy for Rangers went for 10 million. So I think Bowie needs this season. He needs to get up to. You worry about his hamstrings and stuff like that, but he looks like he's got a good partnership with Boyle. They've just got good experience. I like to see legs in midfield, and I think the guy Chawa's brought that. Bit of legs, get a bit of part. I think we're going to be difficult to play against. Rocky's been really good, and Nicky Cadden's a must. He has to play. His delivery is phenomenal, especially with Bowie up there. I think second or third.
I know, eh?
Oh, I love the optimism. It's a hope that kills you.
Still early, aye. That's it. We're all still buzzing about that now. Get a few weeks. It will be interesting when we see a couple of defeats though, because like at the moment, like we've lost a couple of games, I suppose, in Europe, but it didn't feel like it because we got through, or it was teams we weren't expected to get close to. But if we do lose 2 or 3 games in a row, which we've not done since probably this time last year, give or take, it'll be interesting to see the reaction of some of that 17,000. You know what I mean?
Well, United games massive. If we draw with United, then we've drew our first 3 home games. That's 3 points out of 9. That's no great.
Yeah.
And Europe was magic, but it's kind of taken away for you start Kelly St Mirren United, and you take it's a must win for me. That's Saturday's a must win.
You mentioned, I'm drawing a parallel that maybe doesn't exist, but you mentioned before about like newspaper headlines about an immediacy, like there always has to be like a fresh front page. How much do you think that's reflected in football results?
Oh, it's total. It's total. Fans, and I include myself in it, you react to the result. The result, I mean, the team can play brilliant and then get beaten. The fans could be on the back of the team. It's the fine margins. We saw that with Hibs. I mean, that Aberdeen game where it all turned in that. So, the headline writers, football writers, will always go for. They need to come up with a headline, and it tends to be what's the main thing that happened in the game. The main thing that happened in the game is the result of the game. So it's difficult, especially for managers, when you hear them going on. If they get interviewed straight after a defeat or something, and their team's played well, and it's maybe swung on a VAR result or something, and they've just it's not gone their way. But I don't know. What do you think of the headlines, Jake? That's quite sensational sometimes. And
what prompted the question was Colin wondering what it would look like for us, like say on the podcast after a couple of defeats, and I was thinking back to like the last 4 or 5 years where it was just not shit, not anything like what you described in the mid-70s and early 80s, but we weren't particularly good for a period there, and it was quite bruising coming out of the podcast or coming away for a game thinking, for fuck's sake, I've got to talk about this.
Yeah, but I mean, you've come through that. Battle hardened now. How many games? How many games was it? A win? Was it 6? Did it get to 16 if you include a League Cup game or something? Last season.
I was wondering which manager. I was thinking you were going back to Heckingbottom. But no, there's been a few different spells.
I think he was 1-14 or something. Gray had at the start. It was grim. But the performances were all right. Like it was the results. The results that everybody remembers.
Aye, I mean, I'm moaning about getting a point at home to Killie and St Mirren, but they beat us last season at this stage.
Aye. We've got Pod on the YouTube says Dundee United. It looks pretty much like a sellout, so just got a ticket and only a handful left. Green Tea's saying you have to stay away for the games, Colin, for being a jinx. And Suya, sorry if I've mispronounced your name, says loving the chat. Alan Heroes is asking more about the book.
Yes. That's my buddy. He's a plant. He's an Eddie Grant. Aye.
An Eddie Grant. Sanders says, evening, gents. Saw that Barlaser is in last year of his contract, so will Malky have been thinking that if he makes an impact, he may get offered a contract in January. So we did bring in a couple of players on loans with Dan Barlaser and Zach Mitchell as well. John, were you close to either of those in terms of looking up what the players are all about?
I thought you were going to ask me if I was close to either of them, like personally.
What,
No,
like pals?
like pals. No, do you know what? It's really unfair. Like I saw the picture that Hibs produced of Zach Mitchell, and I thought that he looked like he should maybe be driving a combine harvester. Like the picture that Hibs put out didn't do him any justice. Dan Barlaser, so my new boss, who asked me about Scotland playing, said that he played youth football with him, and I said, "Oh, could you tell me what how to pronounce his surname? Is it Barlaser? Is it Barlaser?" He said, "Oh no, it's Barlaser." And then literally the next thing I saw was Barlaser pronounced his name Barlaser. So I
Don't
think
believe him,
I've
eh?
seen. Aye. I think the most I've seen of Barlaser is the volley that he scored that Hibs had tweeted and he referenced in his interview. I didn't know anything about Zach Mitchell, and then someone said that I think he played on loan for St Johnstone last season.
Aye.
Did they play a lot of minutes though? It was only like 500
Don't
odd
know.
minutes, I read. Aye.
He got injured, but apparently he was brilliant. The kind of St Johnstone fan, and he said pretty much if he'd stayed fit, St Johnstone would have stayed up.
Is he a centre back?
Aye.
Aye.
He can play right back as well, but he played
All
centre
right.
back for St Johnstone, and he reckoned he was a great signing for us. So
He's the one that signed. If you have asked, because we signed him sort of midweek when the window shut on Monday. But it sounds like I think you explained that it was a Kelly fan asking on Twitter earlier, saying basically we submitted the paperwork, but FIFA lost it or something, and then we had to go and appeal it to get him in.
the FIFA app was down apparently.
So
They must.
It was not.
I know on transfer deadline day, so Hibs had submitted everything in the time.
Had
It had to
one
go
job.
processed. And then had to get the SFA to go and bat on their behalf to UEFA to say, or FIFA to say, can you sanction it? And they sanctioned it, so we signed them. Malky Mackay did his interview on the transfer window on Hibs TV. Green Tea says that she's not a big fan of Malky, but is impressed with his recent interview. Did any of you catch it?
Not yet. It's on my to watch list.
So it doesn't say much, right? I watched it, and you could guess, like, if you were to say, like, put somebody who's in football doing for 10 minutes to talk about something they've done and not really say very much, and that would be the interview. Like, you could guess everything. Happy with what we've signed, happy with who we let go. Squad's looking good. Pleased with everybody that was involved, but didn't get London Dykes. That's a kind of rundown of the.
Explain any more? We didn't get Dykes, or we were just left to sort of what's been leaked out there and that.
He didn't really go into detail with it, but wasn't pressed on it either. He just says they tried, it didn't happen. Similar to London Dykes as well. I think he said Hibs tried, but couldn't quite do it.
There were folk reading into, I think there were comments after signing Barlaser where Malky thanked Middlesbrough, and I think folk were reading between the lines that Middlesbrough were more gentlemanly in their negotiations than perhaps Birmingham were.
Aye. It's because he said, well, I thank Middlesbrough, but his T-shirt that he had on says Birmingham are cunts on it. So it was
that was the giveaway.
You read it, aye, but if you've seen the interview, it's obvious.
Was London Dykes on a week then?
Well, 20 odd grand was the rumour. Aye. So I don't care how much they were wanting Hibs to pick up, but I can't imagine we'd be picking up.
No wonder all the players are desperate to get to like anywhere in England. Like,
aye.
I forgot he played for Queen of the South, London Dykes.
Did he?
Aye. I forgot. Livy and all.
Aye.
Aye.
But it's like I suppose they're probably a big payer in the championships. That'll be above the average. But I mean, you know, if the players are getting paid 20 grand in that division, and did they not just get promoted into there, or that's like fucking hell.
Tom Brady's involved.
You can't even can't compete with that. I only watched the first 10 minutes. I couldn't even bother.
That was murder.
It's just fucking. No wonder all the laddies want to piss off down to England as soon as they can. Like they think they'll go and earn a fortune, retire at 30.
Well, we just sold a goalkeeper to Man City, didn't we? For was about 200 grand for the youth.
Aye, I thought that was rumoured about like over a year ago, but it might be because he's age, because he just turned 16, so maybe he's allowed to sign now, whereas before, so it's maybe one of them when keep him till he's 16 sort of thing. Because there was rumours about that. I remember.
I think they could sign at 6. Aye, and then they sign maybe in their last year, and it's all the fee. I think the fee's always about 200 grand if they've come through the academy.
It's decent, decent model for Hibs to bring players to to that level, it would obviously be good if we get them into our own first team. But if you're not going to be able to do that, getting a decent whack of money for them is probably the way to.
And you can't blame the laddies
go.
for it, because they'll be thinking, well, I'll go there, I'll go and earn 5, 10 times as much as I'm earning here, and what, a few £100 a week to a couple of grand a week, or whatever the bump is. And then if Man City are getting rid of you in 3-4 years' time, you're going to get you're going to it's going to take further to fall down the ladder than it is leaving Hibs.
The boy Rory Whittaker went to Southampton.
Aye.
That's a good move.
Aye, it's a good move for him. I guess, like clubs like that are good for youth players. I think that they'll not get swallowed up in a massive system. It's like it's a big enough club that'll make a bit of money, but small enough that they'll not get totally lost in it. Kev, what do you think? What are you thinking for the rest of the season? You mentioned second or third.
Really like positive stuff. Looking forward to it. I think we've not got the distraction in Europe, which was brilliant, but it also we're used to going to really difficult places now, like Legia Warsaw, Partizan Belgrade, and that's going to stand us in great stead for going to Parkhead and Ibrox. Tiny will be fine there, and the squad's looking good. It's more selection problems he's got. He's got some, it's like decisions to be made, I think, and I'm not sure he's. I would hope David Gray knows his best 11, but he probably doesn't quite yet, because there's boys come in and that. I'd like to see a bit of legs in midfield. Maybe Barlaser will give us it, and Chaiwa, he's been good. He looks a player. So really positive. I think Bowie is going to set that league on fire. Absolutely, with Cadden's delivery.
I look at Bowie so far. One of the things I picked up on the are we going with Barlaser? His interview on Hibs TV. So he's obviously from Newcastle, that area. He's got the bit of Geordie accent, and so playing for Middlesbrough, who they're not quite as big a rival in Newcastle as Sunderland are, but they're still in the mix. But they asked him, what was your favourite player? Shearer. Best ground you played at? St James's Park. Like, he'd be raging. Ken, if he'd gone on loan for Hibs to somebody else, and he starts talking about best players being Jambos or fucking Tynecastle and that, you'd be like, fucking dick. He's maybe no plan on going back.
I think one of the things I was quite taken by was his interview when he was talking about, like, what do you like on chips? And what was the other one? Do you prefer a lunchtime or an evening kickoff? And it was both of them came back to having kids. And I don't know whether that was something that came up in Hibs' recruitment of them. Like, so I'm thinking about players before about just being more grounded. So Kieran Bowie, I'm led to believe, has got a couple of kids in a dug. That was referenced in an interview. And there's Barlaser. And I don't know whether we're going for like this very sort of traditional model of like family men, like who are just like staying under the radar, like no going out at the weekend.
Aye.
What was the question? What do you like on chips?
I want to know the answer to
It was
that.
something like, what do you like on chips? And I think his answer was it gravy or curry sauce?
Aye, gravy or curry sauce, depending on what the kids were having, I think was the...
I was going to say, was the kids coming into this? Like, right, okay.
They dictate. It's got the wrong way around. He needs to be telling them what they're having.
Aye, fucking right.
Is that you saying that wouldn't happen in your house, Colin?
Wouldn't happen in my house, no chance. Depends what the wife says.
We did an extra time episode on the squad, so I was going to ask you, Colin and John, what your thoughts are on the squad as well, just to kind of follow on for what Kevin was saying. But without going into detail, how are you feeling now that you've got these two loan signings over the line, Colin?
I thought we had a good squad anyway before the boy centre back signed. I would have liked to have probably another striker, and I'm not sure about the right wing back or right back either. And I suppose if he goes, like Kevin's obviously mentioned as well, going 4 at the back. I've seen other folk talk about 4 at the back. I don't know if we've got a squad that fits all of that. Like, because if you're going 4 at the back, then your setup up front's probably different. More like a 2 wide players and 1 through the middle in their own. I don't know if Boyle can still do the wide thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. But the squad's good. But I would have liked Dykes to sign, as much as he doesn't score many goals. Or doesn't seem to score that many goals. I've been corrected before when I said he's always injured. And he isn't. He's been injured once. But I think it's good. I think it's a good squad. It's probably strong. It's like, I can't remember it being much stronger on paper, certainly.
John, how about you?
Broadly similar. I was going to, when Kevin was talking about the squad earlier. Like, I was going to say that it feels a little bit like an embarrassment to riches, and I didn't mean that in the sense that we've got like we're a squad of Galacticos, for example, but on the point about it being the strongest squad, like it certainly feels like the strongest squad that I can remember off the top of my head. So even if you go back to like previously good teams, so the Scottish Cup winning squad, it was a good squad, but there were times when it became a little bit threadbare. So for example, when I think Fontaine got injured and we ended up chucking Bartley in at centre half for about 10 minutes until half time, and it was just it was calamity back there. If you go back to the other good side, Mowbray's side, like you were bringing on players, like we were had the transfer window system hadn't been introduced then. So correct me if I'm wrong. So you were still able to bring in like trialists and new signings. So I'm thinking guys like Humphrey Rudge, for example. I think Umar Condé made an appearance, like just guys who were there for a couple of games and then disappeared again. The way that this squad, I think, is different is that there seems to be a bit of depth to it. And I referenced that the other week there, where I think it was what was the game where we made 5 changes? Was it the St Mirren game?
Maester, we make 5, but we did 5 against
Well, Livy away was one, eh? Livy.
Aye, so there was 5 changes in the starting lineup.
Oh, the start. Sorry, I'm thinking of the subs, John. I totally picked you up wrong. Yeah, Livingston was.
But they weren't like I've seen 5 changes to Hibs squad before and thought, who the hell are these guys? Or I'm feeling a wee bit uneasy about this today. But the 5 that like the replacements or the guys that were brought in to bring fresh legs, they were familiar. You'd seen them before. They looked. You felt a little bit more confident because they looked more competent than previous generations.
Cool.
Yeah, you've got boys like Joe to come back as well.
I know he's forgotten about it. You're almost looking at it now.
You forget boys that are in the squad that sometimes.
Well, I'm a fan of Joe Newell, and I've said for ages he'll get back in the team as a captain. But now it's everybody we signed seems to bump him one more down. It's not like we're signing players of just equal quality or that. Like we seem to be signing players. They've not played not played many games yet. I mean, Jaiwa's obviously spoken about. Everybody speaks about him how you spoke about him, Kevin. But I don't even care if he's completed 2 full games for us yet. You know what I mean? It's
and in terms the boy of minutes, that was signed up front.
No, Jaiwa. The boy.
Oh, Jaiwa,
he's, you know, I don't know how many minutes he's played, but it's probably not quite even 200 yet. So it's no like he's played. He's made an instant impression, but you wonder, like he needs to kick on.
Yeah, he looks probably a bit raw, but it's and then there's good options of like Hoylett's a good player. You know what you're going to get there. Him coming off the bench. I think it's crucial we keep Bowie fit.
Aye.
Probably Rocky as well. I never thought I'd say it, but I think Rocky and Bowie have to be fit.
Yeah. Well, we've got Hanley there now for Rocky, but I agree what you're saying. Like he's been excellent for the last 6 months or so. Matthew, what do you get the squad? Have you give your? I suppose you've probably written articles and that on it, have you?
Probably. I guess it's a good squad. I don't think we're missing anything really other than that replacement for Bowie. If he gets injured, we've not got a like for like. But I think we kept everybody we wanted to keep, more or less. It would have been good for Charles to come back, but I think we've replaced him with Chaiwa. And I think we've got cover in the positions that we need cover for. We've got a couple of players that are dead versatile as well that can cover a couple of positions, so that helps. One of the things that Malky said in his interview is that we didn't really have anybody in the squad now that Gray doesn't want, which hadn't been the case before. Like, obviously, we've cleared out a lot of bodies, and I think that's quite important. So I think I'm quite optimistic, but
I think I said that in extra time, when you were saying what's your sort of reaction to the transfer window, and you look at it and you go, I can't remember the numbers, so I counted them up. It was something like 23 out and about 70. You know what I mean? And that was everybody was talking about mass clear out last year. And if you're getting rid of 20 odd bodies off there, and there is some youngsters in there and loan deals ending and all that, but that's how many players we had on the books in some form. That's a massive chunk of the 2 teams worth of stuff, of players that David Gray didn't want.
Aye.
And you didn't get many stories about folk being disgruntled at Hibs. It seems to be a happy camp and a good club to play for.
Is that because we managed to shut down all the leaks though?
No, I don't think it is. I think
there's no transfer leaks. There's just nothing coming against it.
I think there's a bit of camaraderie, and this part of Edinburgh's lovely.
So, it's a long way for Lee Johnson sort of splitting the squad into two groups and having them training at different times and that, isn't it? So I think it's pretty good. John said on the YouTube comments that he took a shot every time Malky said delighted. He was pished in 46 seconds. That's about right. Right, next game's Dundee United. I suppose let's say a quick sort of prediction preview for that before we wrap up. So, John, I'll start with you and I'll get Colin. I'll wrap up with Kevin's view on it. So, John, how do you see Dundee United going at the weekend?
Honestly, the idea, the thing that's, I wouldn't say it's made me uneasy, but the fact that it's a 5:45 kickoff on a Saturday night is going to make me feel a wee bit weird. And I don't remember a 5:45 kickoff on a Saturday before. So I don't know. Are people going to be pissed? Are they going to be running into the game after having their tea? I don't know.
We've got 2 in a row, eh? We've got 2 weeks in a row. After I can't remember the last time, if ever, either. But they're playing Rangers 5:45 as well.
This Premier Sports times, aye.
The game Sky didn't want go in the Premier.
So, John, you're not sure. Colin, what about you?
I see Kevin said must win earlier. It's no must win in terms of like nobody's losing their job and we're not going to finish third if we don't win. But I think it's important that we win because our home record hasn't been good. We need to get that monkey off the back as soon as we can. So I'd take a 1-0 scrappy one. But I think we're only playing. I'm not sure how many we've got away in internationals. Probably a handful away. Eh? So the rest of them will have had a few days off in that time to rest up, and hopefully we see a fresh, strongest team we can put out and get a win, whatever it looks like. That's what I'd be wanting.
Kevin, how about you?
I think we'll win by the odd goal, but I think it'll be a really hard game. I think they're the physical team and they did well in Vienna, and it's a hard game. But I think we've got a wee bit more quality than them, and I wouldn't mind if Bowie doesn't get a game tomorrow. I think his time will come. I think his time will come with Scotland. Like it will come, but yeah, no, I think we'll beat Dundee United, but no disrespect today because I think it'll be really quite a hard game, be a good game.
Mark on the YouTube said, as Kevin was saying earlier, in the 70s and 80s, it was character building. Crowds around 6,000, and it was during that run that Hearts dominated so much. Kevin, when we spoke yesterday, you'd mentioned kind of going to all the games in that sort of 22 games in a row.
I think I went to every one. I mean, the derbies were shite, but it was a while before we got a result. I think we beat them 2-1. I think Eddie May scored at Easter Road, and that might have brought 22 to an end. You're probably no better than me, but
there was 2 runs, eh? There was 2 runs. Gordon Hunter was a 22, but there was a 19 or something. So why are we talking this? Fucking stop talking about it.
I didn't talk about it.
I was going to say
they had Robo, so that was the difference. Yeah.
We need things occasionally to keep us grounded. Like I'm talking about embarrassment of riches squads. Like no, let's get our feet back and firmly on the ground.
It's changed days now with the derbies. So like the derbies, like my lad is 22. Philip, he's not got. I think Hearts will maybe edge it ever so slightly, but it's no. He doesn't have the same view going to derbies as we would have had at his age. Kim, and you've grown up and it's been tough times against them. I think it's all right now. I think that scarred generation of us are past it now. Whereas the younger guys are all like, fucking doesn't matter, just play Hearts.
Aye, they look forward to it, don't they?
Aye. Right, we'll wrap up there. So, Kevin, it's been great having you on, and
thanks very much.
Success with the book. Just a reminder, it's called To Be Frank.
To Be Frank.
You can get it in the bookshop near
Easter Road. All good bookshops and some shite ones as well.
And online too. So all the best for that, and I hope we get you on for your second book.
Thanks very much, guys. Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks everybody.